IR Magazine is proud to produce original proprietary research reports for and about the global IR community. We would like to take this opportunity to share some of the big takeaways from our latest reports, especially of interest to our North American friends in investor relations. Let's begin with our annual flagship Global and Regional Investor Relations Practice Report 2021, as it explores senior management days in North America. North American senior managers spent an average of 38 days in total on IR in the past year, one day fewer than the number spent by senior management globally. That is 3 days more than they dedicated to IR in 2020 and represents a recovery towards pre-pandemic levels, when the number of days North American senior management teams spent on IR was often in the low to mid-40s. This increase is due to the additional focus of North American chief financial officers on IR this year, with the typical CFO spending an extra 4 more days on IR than in 2020. In a reversal of the global trend, more time is spent on IR by senior management at smaller companies, with the fewest days being spent by large cap managers. The Global and Regional Investor Relations Practice Report looks at virtual and in-person investor meetings in North America. The total number of meetings per company is marginally down on the average of 158 reported in 2019. One-on-one meetings with investors in person were extremely rare in North America last year, with a typical North American company averaging just 3 such meetings with investors in this time. This represents just 2% of all investor meetings, as the rest shifted entirely to the virtual format. The 151 additional virtual meetings typically held have restored investor contact to pre-pandemic levels. Virtual meetings have been able to maintain the consistently high level of senior management participation traditionally seen at North American companies. In 2021, 56% of meetings involved senior management, compared with 58% of the in-person meetings held in 2019. The number of virtual investor meetings increases from 85 at small-cap companies to 275 for mega-caps. Senior managers at small-cap companies attend the vast majority of investor meetings at 85%, while the majority of meetings at large and mega-cap companies are without senior management participation. The Global and Regional Investor Relations Practice Report also delves into IR budgets in North America. North American IR budgets have fallen a further $17,000 in the past year, with the average budget now standing at $357,000. Budgets have shrunk by a third since 2017, having regularly averaged more than $500,000 in the years before then. Budgets, according to company size, range from an average of $223,000 at small caps to $636,000 among mega cap teams. Small cap budgets have fallen by $41,000 in the past year, and mega cap budgets have dropped by $120,000. But there have been increases in the average IR budget at both large and mid-cap companies. 1/3 of the average IR budget in North America is spent on external services. The proportion of IR budgets spent on outsourcing reduces as company size increases, with 36% of small-cap budgets spent on external services falling to less than a quarter of mega-cap budgets. IR Magazine has also taken deep dives into executive compensation, earnings best practices, corporate access, and salary and careers in North America in 4 specific research reports. We would like to share some of those key findings with you now. Our executive compensation report in North America reveals a higher proportion of North American companies, compared with companies in other regions, report that no one from the board speaks to investors about compensation, but 52% of global investors say they expect the board to discuss this with them. More than 4 in 10, or 46%, of global investors report their board links executive compensation to ESG metrics. Only 26% of North American companies say the board has linked executive compensation to ESG metrics, compared with 66% in Europe and 51% in Asia. Our brand new corporate access report tells that regionally, North American companies are the most likely to hold virtual roadshows, while European companies are the most likely to go on the road in person. More than 7 in 10 North American investors give a high rating of 8+ out of 10 to virtual investor days. They are not as highly rated by European or Asian investors, which give greater appreciation to investor conferences and roadshows as virtual events. Between 1 in 5 and 1 in 4 companies held an investor day in the second half of 2021, with 19% holding a virtual investor day and just 5% holding one in person. North American companies held the lowest number in both formats. More than a third of North American companies hosted a site visit in the second half of 2021, with 3 in 10 holding those visits in person. The sell side is engaged with in-person meetings to a larger degree than the buy side, and there is a greater level of indifference among North American investors than is seen in Europe or Asia. The view that more virtual meetings are needed before an investor takes a position is most common among European IROs and least common among North American IROs, where just over a quarter hold this view. Our IR Salary and Careers report reveals that North American IROs report the highest average pay. The average North American pay has remained consistent for the past 2 years. A higher proportion of North American IROs than IROs in any other region report that they have no professional qualifications. The increased demands of IR are least felt in North America, with 24% saying the IR role has become neither easier nor harder. This is despite changes to the role of the IRO. For example, ESG and sustainability issues have become integral parts of IR practice. Regionally, the greatest disparity between the gender makeup of IR teams and IR heads is reported in North American IR teams. That concludes our summary of IR Magazine Research Report's North American findings. Thank you.